some of my thoughts. On day one, I guess I wish I would have understood that the system, DCFS, however you want to phrase that, it's a little different in every state, but in most states, they are required to place children with fictive kin, family or fictive kin, friends, before they place with strangers. They are to make that effort. And they are to provide the supports to those family members. And in many states, the same supports that they provide foster parents. And but what they'll try to do is bully you into taking on all the transportation or supervising visits. They try to push a lot on you and hold this threat over your head that if you don't do these things, we're going to take the child and put them with strangers, which they can't do. I mean,
Mm.
so I would say you need to be
So it's
prepared
good
for
to know
that.
that.
Just know it's going to
Oh man.
happen. You have to know what's going to happen. So the moment you're placed with a grandchild, I'm sorry to say, you need to figure out what your rights are. You need to be prepared for the threats that are going to come your way, because
Yes.
they're going to do this because they don't want
Yes,
to be
it's almost like,
inconvenienced. They want, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
and they're overworked and,
Oh,
well, they're understaffed and
yeah.
overworked. And I mean, it's an asset to know these things. I wish in a way I could put together this list from all of us grandmothers that have gone through this process and say, this is what you need to know going into this. Kind of like I wish I'd had that folder of information when it happened to me too. In hindsight's 2020. So maybe at some point we'll get to put all those notes together, and I think I will continue to ask other grandparents the same question.
Well, and one of the things that I have heard in some states that DCFS will do is they'll bring a child to your doorstep and say, if you don't take this child as a grandparent, we're going to put them in the system. And of course, every grandparent says, please don't do that. And then they take the child and then they get no stipend, no assistance, no
Like
medical
me.
card, right?
That's what happened to me.
Right. But what they're actually doing is they're trying to close the case, which they should not do because it's their responsibility to work that case, make sure the parent is progressing compliant in their case plan and all that. But what they're doing is shirking the work onto the family. And that, I don't quite know what the fix is because I'm fortunate. Illinois is very, very slow in many respects. However, when it comes to fictive kin, they are very good. Our governor has done a lot to try to ensure that DCFS places with family and friends and that they give them the support. So we're fortunate in that respect. But I've heard from a lot of grandparents that that's not the case in their states. I will say
Yes,
one other
that's
thing
true.
that I hear a lot of grandparents push back on, and one of those things is when you're asked to train as a foster parent, and they think, well, I'm not doing this for strangers' kids. These are just my kids, my family. I don't want to go through this process. I don't want to do a background check, or I don't want to go through all this exhaustive training. I'm stressed. I'm busy. Do it anyway, because they're going to allow you to keep the kids while you're doing it. They're going to be gentle with you with the amount of time it takes. But that training, it teaches you about the system. It teaches you about the resources. It teaches you about everything that's going to happen in court, what the steps are of a case. It also, there are parts of the training which are specifically training you about trauma. Because as a foster parent, just the fact that a child has been removed from their home is trauma in itself. You may think, well, it's my grandchild. I know my grandchild. But what you might have come to accept as just normal to that child or part of their personality may not be that at all. It may be trauma. And
Right,
this
right.
will prepare you to be a better parent for that child. and to know what kind of resources to ask for. So, and most of the training now I think is available online, so you have a lot of flexibility when you do it, and it's not going there in person like it was 10 years ago. So definitely take them up on it. And in some states, that monthly stipend, sometimes it's higher if you've trained as a foster parent and you're not required to take more children in, but you might have more of a benefit